Well, thanks for coming on tonight, Bobby. To start, could you kind of let us know what inspired you to get into coaching and how you went from Florida Gulf Coast for your undergrad onto Florida State and then your first coaching job at Eastern?
So I was at Florida Gulf Coast and I was a manager for the team. And I didn't know I really wanted to get into coaching. I played in high school and I always had a high IQ, but we got a coach there that came from Florida State, and his name was Andy Enfield, who's currently the USC head coach
Mm.
right now. And I started working for him and under him. And I just like my dream was like to always be a sports agent. I wanted to be involved in sports, and I didn't know if it was sports marketing or that. And this is
Sure.
actually just really a funny story, but it is a true story. But one day, one of our assistants came in, and his name is Michael Fly, and he's the head coach of Florida Gulf Coast now. So he worked up his
Mhm.
way from lowest assistant to head coach at Florida Gulf Coast. And we only had about like three managers there at the time, and we weren't that great at our jobs. Like, they're coming from high major in Florida State,
Mm.
and they had guys that would do everything, and we had no idea. We were just all really young and just having a good time in college. And he came in one day because we did something wrong at practice, and he lit into us, and he's like, "Do you guys know who Andy Enfield is?" And just some back. Andy like worked for Rick Pitino in the NBA for the Celtics, and he worked for George Karl for the Milwaukee Bucks, and then he worked his way, at Florida State, and then all the way up to head coach. So like I had no idea. I was, 18, 19 years old. And he
Yeah.
just came in and he like ripped us. You guys are terrible. You guys don't work hard. He goes, if you wanted to work in this business, he could help you out. He goes, I wear a sweatsuit to work every day. And I was like, I want to wear a sweatsuit to work every day. And that's like what made me really wanted to decide like basketball. I was like, damn, I really want to wear a sweatsuit every day.
That's so
So
good.
that's how it's like a true funny story, but that's really what like I was like, I want to literally want to wear a sweatsuit every day. And I like basketball that much.
So then how'd you go from just realizing you wanted to coach partly because you liked wearing the sweatsuits to ending up with your first assistant job being in Cheney?
Well, so just went from there. So worked under him for 2 years. We had that cool little run where we went to the Sweet 16. Didn't really know what was going to happen after that. I was going to go work at a prep school in Sarasota, Florida called Impact Basketball, and it was going to be
Mm.
all for free. There was, just housing, and that was it. And I was going to go do that for a year. And by some chance, Florida State was having a camp during the summer, and my high school assistant coach was the video coordinator there. And they were like, yeah, come up, work camp, just make some money, and we'll you can network, and then maybe in a couple years you can come be a GA or something here. And I was like, okay, I'll go do that. And as I was driving up there, I literally, like, when 18-wheeler tires blow off, well, I ran
Yep.
over one about an hour away from Tallahassee. And I go up to
Ooh.
Tallahassee, and I get there, and I stop at a gas station, and my car is leaking green stuff. So keep in mind, they had like summer camps for a full month, and I was only supposed to work for 3 days. And so I go up there, and my car is broke. So I can't drive back. So I end up staying there working all the camps. And that's kind of like their tryouts for GAs and managers. And as I'm up there, they have an assistant video coordinator spot, which is it's the lowest position on staff, but it's a paid position. And the guy that was there decided to follow his girlfriend and leave and go to Georgia. So I'm going to shout him out. And after I literally worked a
There we
full
go.
month there. Yeah, thanks a lot, guy. I worked a full month there, and I come back and they call me and they're like, hey, I know you were going to go work at a prep school, but we got this job it opened up, and you can come move out here, get paid. He's like, you're not going to make any money at all. Like, you're going to make $12,000 on the year, but it's a good experience. And so like, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I asked he's a big time mentor, Michael Fly. And I'm like, well, should I go do this or should I go do that? And he's like, are you stupid? He goes, you're just graduating college and you're going to get a paid position in the ACC. Like, he goes, anybody can go rebound. He goes, now you have a niche. This will make you valuable. You will have video coordinator to your name. And that's just kind of how I ended up at Florida State.
Nice.
Dang.
I want to take it back a little bit to your days at Florida Gulf Coast, just because I think that team was probably one of my 3 favorite teams I've ever watched play in March Madness since I've been watching over the past 20 years. What were the realistic expectations coming into the season? I mean, you guys had Brett Comer, Bernard Thompson, Chase Fielder, and Sherwood Brown. So you had a lot of super talented athletic players on your team, but was the NCAA tournament an expectation for the team coming into the year, or was it something that kind of became more of a reality as the season went on into conference tournament?
We had high expectations because all those guys were really young besides Sherwood. So Sherwood was the only upperclassman, like Brett, Bernard, Chase. They were all sophomores. But the year before their freshman year, in the ASUN, there was Belmont. And like Belmont had, I don't know if you guys are familiar, but they had Langston Hughes, who played in the NBA for the Warriors. And then they had, they also had Drew Hanlon. He works out everybody in the NBA. And that year we went, so their freshman year, Andy's first year, we went to the conference tournament final and we were up like 15 on them at halftime. And we blew the lead and lost to them. And I think we had a lot of high expectations going into that season. And then if you look at that team in the season that we had, like off the top of my head, I don't remember the exact thing, but we beat the ACC champion Miami Hurricanes when they had Shane Larkin, who was their starting point guard. We beat them.
Yeah.
We played Duke. We were basically tied with them. And, you can say this and that, but they went on a 20-0 run. There were some calls. It was in Cameron Indoor, but we stuck it with them for about 25 to 27 minutes. We went to Iowa State, lost by like 7. We went to VCU. Like we had a really tough schedule. And then, so the team was really, that non-conference really got them ready for the gauntlet of the ASUN. And it was between us and Mercer. And by the end of the year, we were just rolling and everyone just saw how Dunk City was. But I mean, that was every day. I mean, we were so athletic and just, I didn't even really understand it. But I mean, Brett Comer was an unbelievable point guard. Chase Fielder, Sherwood Brown, Bernard Thompson. These guys were like unreal to be in the ASUN playing at that level. And we were so it was Dunk City all year. I think we were one of the top teams. Like we had like 200 dunks on the season, which was ridiculous.
That's insane. And what was it like? So one thing that I've always wondered as somebody who watches a lot of March Madness, you see these teams who are a higher seed and then they knock off a 1 or a 2 or a 3 seed and then they just fall flat in the next game. But obviously that didn't happen with you guys because you guys go on and beat San Diego State in the second round and then even play a really competitive game against Florida in the Sweet 16. How do you get the players prepped, especially from a smaller school like that? And all of a sudden you have ESPN, you have national media just surrounding the team. How do you get the players to focus again?
I just think, coaching staff and the players, they were just a confident bunch. I was young and I was just living and having fun and I didn't really understand what was going on at that time, but everybody was so confident within the program. So I think that's what really did it. That group of guys was so confident. Coach Infield had a swag to him that just like bred confidence through the guys. And he let them play he's kind of like Shante. Shante is just like that, where he lets the guys play and, we like breed confidence into the guys. It's not like there's no pressure on them offensively, maybe defensively there is, but out there we just let them play hoops. And that's one thing that he did. And I mean, it was just a cool experience because, we were in Philadelphia playing Georgetown and they had Otto Porter and, Duke was playing right after us and, nothing was really, it was a quiet game. And then once that second half hit and it was close and then we had the lead and every person in that gym was rooting for us. It's something like, I don't think you can ever experience. It was like a movie. You can't you got 30,000 people going nuts just for Florida Gulf Coast who no one's ever heard of before.
I know. I think that was the most kind of the surreal part of even just watching it through TV was just seeing everybody just rooting for Florida Gulf Coast. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is nuts.
And then the way we did it, I mean, like some of those, the dunks those were high level, ridiculous dunks that, you're not seeing most of the time.
Yeah.
Bobby, kind of a follow-up question on that. Like, does it kind of bring you back when you're playing games in March Madness with a team like waiting for you? Does it kind of bring back any sort of nostalgia from like the younger days, like playing either like AAU club or anything, or like even just like freshman year, like C team with like the other teams watching you? Do you even notice, or like does that like is that something that you notice, or is that something that just really doesn't matter too much?
No, you don't notice that at all.
Yeah,
You're so
notice.
locked into
Okay,
the game.
Right.
that makes
Yeah,
sense.
you're so locked in. You don't even notice. Really, maybe as you're waiting, watching the other games, that's when it's like that, like AAU ball, because I don't know if you remember, right before we played Florida is the game that Trey Burke hit that shot versus Kansas.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
I
right.
remember
So
that
Yeah.
game.
we're
Yo.
yeah, so we're like right courtside, ready to go on, thinking this game's over, and then you're just watching that, and you're a fan. You're like, whoa, like that was
Yeah.
crazy. He just hit that shot, and then you had to watch OT, and you're like, oh wow, like like we were so hyped to get out there and go out there and play. It was kind of different. So that yeah, I guess as you're waiting for the game in front of you, because it's usually they have
Gotcha.
a game before you or after you. So that's when it's really cool, and you're not locked into your game.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Looking at your time at Florida State, you really worked with a lot of guys, a few guys that made the NBA. Is there something like, was there a dude that stood out faster than others that you're like, oh, this dude's an NBA player, or like, is that something that like you can notice and you don't talk about? Like, what is that kind of feel for like the coaches?
I mean, a lot of it goes into skill and size and just like Dwayne Bacon. I knew when he got there he was going to be an NBA player just because of how big he was, his size and his skill set. Jonathan Isaac, obviously, I mean, he's 6'11", he's shooting the threes,
Yeah.
he's a wing. He was a freak. And then, but one thing that all those guys have is just a mentality and a mindset and how hard they work. And another one that I loved is Malik Beasley, who was like the first one and done from Florida State ever. And he's cooking right now in the NBA. But
Yeah.
Malik, I mean, just how hard they work, and they got some God given ability, but they still outwork people. And Malik was one of those guys who came in and he had a chip on his shoulder because it's crazy to say he wasn't a McDonald's All-American, but he was a Jordan Brand Classic. But that was like the chip on his shoulder. And he came in and he worked hard every day. He would work out 3 times a day. He actually held the freshman record for most double-digit scoring games consecutive. I think it was like, I forgot who he tied, but it was a ridiculous name. And he had like 16 straight. And, he came in as a guy that they thought would be a 3 or 4 year guy. And he was one and done. And he was the 19th pick of the draft. And then another one of my favorites, is there's Fiondu Cavangeli, who's on the Clippers right now. I was there for his redshirt year. And then Terrence Mann, I was there 2 years with him. And, he was he was part of that Dwayne Bacon, Malik Beasley class, but no one thought he would be an NBA player. And he worked so hard and just stuck to the process. And, he was the 45th pick of the draft, and now he's playing with the Clippers and Paul George and Kawhi Leonard every night, which is just crazy.
Yeah,
That is nuts.
that is crazy. So now you've got your first assistant job. You're in your 4th year. Shante goes out and gets you in 2017. And this is the first year where the assistants are specifically you and David Riley and TJ Lippold, after Nick Booker left after last season. And I know you work a lot with the guards. So this year, how are the 3 of you divvying up specifically player development and helping the players grow throughout the year?
We just work every day. It doesn't matter who works with who. I mean, like I'm primarily the guards. Dave's the wings and bigger guards, and then TJ's with the bigs. But I'll work with anyone. We'll work with anyone. We do a lot of morning stuff, a lot of skill development. We're real big on that. I mean, if you guys are familiar how we play, it's a lot of just ball screens and reads, and we kind of let the guys go make plays. It's not like, hey, you need to try to get a layup on this back screen. It's read how they're doing it, take what we work on every day, and just use your abilities and your skill set. So, I mean, we have a breakfast club every morning where an hour before practice, the guys come in and we just work on skill set where, I mean, if you just see guys every year, they get better when they're with us. Mason was a guy like that. Jacob Davison's a guy like that. And then obviously these younger guys, you'll see them like a guy like Steel Venters and Ellis Magnuson and Kassan Rouse. They get better every year because we work so hard and they work so hard.
Sure. Go ahead, John.
kind of a follow-up on that, just wondering, are there certain skills, because I guess just going into it, you're getting high school players, and so they are pretty malleable. Are there certain skills that like you kind of teach across the board, or is it more of like player by player basis, if that makes sense? Like more than just like the base level, like are there those secondary level skills that you teach across the board, or is that more of just focusing on getting the most out of the players and developing them like better?
No, we do. We want everyone to do everything. So like if you guys like Mason was an unbelievable passer, but and finisher, and he worked with the guards on finishes, and we want everyone to be better. We want them to make reads out of ball screens. We want, like, if Tanner could get better and better, we would let him come off ball screens. Now he's not there yet, but if he had a full spring and fall and could come off of it, like, we're not going to handicap anyone. We're going to let people do whatever they work on. So we want everyone to be able to pass, dribble, shoot. They need to be basketball players. There is no, hey, you just stand in the corner and shoot, or you just go to the block. If you can come off a ball screen, we want you to come off a ball screen. I don't care if you're 6'10", 7'2", or 5'8". That's what we want.
Yeah.
You could if Ellis Magnuson could post up a 6'2" guard and score at a high rate, we would do that. And so we work on a lot of stuff, just depending, like you said, we don't handicap or put anyone in a box. We want to see what they can do, and maybe they get better at it where it'll be an advantage for them and an advantage for us.
Kind of shifting gears a little bit, I want to talk about kind of what the recruiting process has been like through COVID, which I'm sure that you love talking about how COVID's affected the season and everything a lot. But what's it been like? Maybe not necessarily for the class of 2021, but looking forward ahead to the class of 2022, 2023, maybe guys who are just more on the prospect board at this time. What's it been like keeping in contact with them since you're not able to see them? And then also, I'm sure there's been plenty of leagues getting canceled, especially in high school. How has that kind of affected and shifted the way that you recruit?
It's way different because now, during the season or right before the season, we'd go out and we recruit Washington pretty hard in the Pacific Northwest. So we take pride on knowing the young kids who have a chance to make it. And it's so tough because, everybody's AAU coach or high school coach is going to say they're good enough and send you some film, but to really get your eye on it and evaluate it is what we like to do. So that's what's been the tough part, is not getting out to see these young kids and seeing them play an open gym or even a high school game. And not only do we go to high school games to just watch the game, but to see how they interact on the bench, or if, they have a 5 turnover game and stuff's not going their way. And you don't get to see that stuff through the film, which is tough. And then recruiting wise, it's going to be tough on these kids because all the kids get their scholarship back. So like that we can only talk to 2022s right now. So 2023s we can't talk to. Okay. So that makes it tougher too. But just with everyone getting their scholarship back and the transfers, it's going to be really rough on not this incoming class, but the 2022 class, because I feel like they're going to be kind of just stuck in the mud where there's all these transfers, everybody gets their year back, and that class is going to take a hit. But there'll be a lot of sleepers in it that maybe we can, pick one up, where they just kind of get under recruited.
I feel that. I think that's what's kind of sad is there's the people that have been working on their game so much over this COVID time have nowhere to showcase it.
Yeah,
I feel like it's brutal. Into that. Yeah.
That stinks.
Is there anything in the recruiting process that you're looking for? You spoke a little bit about personality, coming off of bad games or how they interact on the bench. Are there certain personality traits you're looking for other than just the general being a good teammate?
I just think good attitude, positive attitude, because we can always work on skill, but you can't work on that. That's just someone's DNA makeup, no matter what. They might just, they might be selfish, but you really can't work on that. That's just how they are. So that's a big thing. And then basketball wise, we just look for, like I said, basketball players, not one-dimensional guys that can shoot, pass, and dribble, no matter their size, because just in our offense, we play a 5-out. Everybody gets ball screens. You need to learn how to read. So we do like high IQ guys. We like guys that understand the game and guys that pick up stuff quick. But I would say the biggest thing is, you can teach skill, you can't teach attitude.
Yeah.
And I've noticed covering the team last year, watching a lot this year. I started at Eastern. I think you're in Shantae's first year, so I kind of have seen it all 4 years. And you guys seem to be kind of going with the trend that basketball itself is heading in, where you're much more reliant on the 3-point shot than has kind of historically been that. So when you're, I guess when you're recruiting or when you're kind of molding the team's identity, how much did that take part when you noticed the NBA is starting to shift to a pretty 3-point heavy thing? And is that becoming more of a, I guess, situation in the college game, and how did that play into your?
I just think our first year we took a learning experience for us, and we were playing guys around Bogdan that couldn't shoot.
Yeah.
And Bogdan really wasn't playing well at the beginning of the year. And then we put in some guys that could stretch the floor, and it made Bogdan so much better. And I just think that was always a huge thing to us now, was shooting. Like, that was a premium no matter what, just because maybe you had a guy that couldn't shoot that well, but if he was just a slasher, it makes him so much better if someone's worried about a guy shooting 42% from three, and it opens the floor for everything. And I think that first year, just seeing how much that opened up the floor for everybody, that it really put a premium on that. And when we went recruiting, on how well people shot. And I think that will just always stick with me in my career, is, shooting's the ultimate equalizer.
Kind of going off of that, Bobby, is there like a style of basketball that you particularly enjoy more than others? Whether or not it's like coaching, watching, playing, do you prefer like up tempo, like throwback style, what we have in the modern NBA now?
I like the up tempo. I like how we play. Really like how the Nuggets play, where they got Jokic who makes all these passes, and even like how the Trailblazers play. I like how they play with Nurkic, how having skilled bigs where everybody can shoot, pass, and dribble. Like, that's the biggest thing to me. Really, is, can you shoot, can you pass, can you dribble? I don't care if you're 7'1" and all you can do is do a hook shot. Now, I'll take one of those, but I'd rather someone who's 6'9", 6'10", who can, isn't as good at posting up, but can make a pass out of the post and shoot threes and do that. So I do like up tempo and getting out and going, and I like higher possession games and lower possession games.
Gotcha.
Do you think that they should bring hand checking back, or are you opposed to that?
Sometimes I think they should. I hate to see those ticky-tack fouls. At least let them play a little bit.
Yeah.
I know it's rough watching, especially in NBA sometimes, all these ticky-tacks. I'm like, where did that even come from?
Yeah, I know. Like, I get the freedom of movement, and I'm with you on that. But, yeah, it could be tough nose, especially in the playoffs. Like, I don't want to see someone pick up a foul for putting their hand on LeBron.
Oh, right. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Kind of talking more about this in season in the games, you guys have gone through 2 layoffs just from COVID protocol within the team. And I just want to know what's kind of been the sentiment overall with the team. You guys came back this last week, played 2 games against Southern Utah, who has the best overall record in the conference, and you split both games. I know that there's no moral victories in basketball, but it seemed that the team, all things considered, had a really good 2 games. How's the coaching staff feel and the team feel overall at this point?
Well, we feel like we should be 2-0, but we let one slip at home. The first game we did well, and that was our first game in about 27 days after that layoff, which was tough. And we only had 3 days to. I think we started practicing, so Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We had 4 days of practice, and then went into that game. And I there is no excuses. I mean, if you look at the game, we were up 10 with 10 minutes to go, and we kind of let it slip. And we fouled a lot. We gave guys shots to their strengths. We didn't have great transition defense, and I think we lost some trust in some of our guys, where it was a kind of a close game, and we didn't let some of the young guys go out there and ball out. So that was a good learning experience for us. But hopefully we don't have any more derails where we can get it going, because I think right before we got this positive test, we were really at NAU. We started moving the ball. We were really getting a gel for each other, and everybody knew their role. And then you take 10 days off where they can't even get in the gym. We can't do anything. So there is some rust to knock off. So it's tough, but no excuses. Southern Utah came in, put 99 points on us, which was just tough. So it's a tough loss for us.
Yeah, and then going back to the non-conference, you played 3 Pac-12 schools, and you had a tough game against St. Mary's as well. So you scheduled some tough opponents, at least where you could. Obviously, this year it's if you can even get the game in. Which of those games would you say the team most wants back?
Well, definitely Washington State, because we only had 6 players.
Yeah.
I wasn't there for that. I was in quarantine for that one. That would be nice. And then the Arizona one for sure, because we were up about 32 minutes of that game, and I think we were up 8 with 6 minutes to go. And we just took some learning lessons. We knew they were going to try to just their best offense that game was throwing it up and just using their athleticism to offensive rebound. So those 2 games are the ones I wish we could get back. Even the St. Mary's one too, I guess, because we were up mostly all of that game and we just couldn't stop Tommy Kuntz, and he killed us. I think he had 36 points, and they're really good learning lessons. And we, Shante always likes to schedule games like that because 1, it's really good to see where we're at as a team. 2, it's really fun to go to those arenas. Too bad there wasn't fans, in Arizona or Oregon or even Washington State, but. Yeah. Those are good measuring sticks. And then it's also just fun for the guys to, you're playing, we got to practice in Richard Jefferson's practice arena that he sent there, and you get to see all the history and all that stuff. So that's cool too. It's a good experience for the guys, and it gets you ready for the big sky. I mean, playing those, I felt like I said in one of my podcasts that we were in the Pac-13 because we basically played half the Pac-12.
I want to know a little bit what it's like scouting out a team. Well, like what's different now since you're playing back-to-backs against the same opponent now, it looks like from here on out. How does that differ from a typical conference schedule?
It's new for me because I've never been a part of it. It's a little different. So that was our first one with Southern Utah because we missed the NAU one, we missed the Portland State one, we missed the Weaver State one. So that was our first one, but it's just like just really thinking, because you have 1 day break, like, well, what can they change or what can they do different? What can we do different? And really, I mean, if you look at all around college basketball, there's games where game 1, a team's winning by 30, game 2, they're losing by 15. So it's just, it's just different because, you're not really used to back-to-backs. And this is a first for everyone in college basketball. So it's just like, it's really the second game. It's like nothing's changed. It's just who's playing harder.
Yeah.
I know in watching the NBA, like watching really any sport, a lot has been made about the no fans. At a college level, how much does that like actually affect the game? Like does that actually take away some of a home court advantage, or is there still like a pretty good familiarity because you're still playing in the same spot?
No, it definitely takes away from the home court advantage. It's like some games you won't hear it. Like when we play at Montana, you can't hear us on the other end of the court if they go on a run, and you got to waste a timeout. Here, I mean, they can hear me yell from our bench on the other side of the court, anything. So I think it kind of takes away the home court advantage for the home court team, but I think it takes a big advantage away. I mean, it really is just like, it's like a scrimmage everywhere you go.
Yeah.
It's so different. And, missing the fans, some guys play better with fans. Some guys maybe get nervous when a free throw when nobody's in the gym. It's just so different. It's so unique.
That makes sense. It's not surprising to hear. I think it was the Heat Celtics series last year in the bubble. Like the road team won every game. And obviously that's never going to happen in regular times. So that's not surprising.
Should we go for some of those random hoops questions to wrap it up?
Yeah.
Do it.
So let's see. So I've heard you are a little bit of a sneakerhead, Bobby. What are you? You're more of a Nikes or Adidas guy, and what's kind of your favorite silhouette that you got?
Well, I have to wear Adidas at Easton.
Yeah, I was gonna say you gotta wear Adidas.
But I'm a big Nike Jordan guy. So I like Jordans all day.
It's all right.
My
We'll just edit
favorite
that out.
Nah, you can put it there. They don't pay me that much. And then I'm gonna say the Jordan 3s and the Jordan 1s are my favorite. Those are what I got a
Okay.
bunch of, and that's what I like the
Cool.
most.
The high tops or mids?
The high tops for sure. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
like the
definitely,
mids.
definitely.
Yeah, so I got a couple of those. I've been doing it since high school, so I have a ton of sneakers.
You do the Nike sneaker drops at all, or you take the L's like me?
I take L's all day.
Oh yes, sir.
I've only hit a
That's where it's
couple.
at.
Yeah, I've only hit like 2 of those in a while. I think the last like win I took on a Nike drop was, it's been a minute really, is I got the Oregon foams. Like I don't even know when that was. That was a couple of years ago.
That was a bit ago, yeah.
Yeah.
I got some of the turdunkins, but outside of that, there hasn't been much luck lately.
You got the turkey dunks?
Yeah, I got those.
The concept ones?
Yeah, I got them off concept actually.
Those are fire. I tried to get those too.
Yeah, the box was insane for it, and they had like the socks in there, and it was ridiculous.
Did you flip them or did you keep them?
Oh man, they weren't my size.
Hey, why not? Hey, easy money though.
Yeah, it was. It actually tanked really quick, but
no doubt. Those things were nice though. I tried to get all the dunks too. I like those.
Yeah, the dunks collection is insane.
Yeah.
What guys on the team are the biggest sneakerheads?
Ellis is a big sneakerhead.
Interesting.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that.
I
Steele
wouldn't.
kind of is. Isaiah. Jake Groves used to have a collection. He doesn't do it as much now, but he used to. Who else? Austin's got a little bit of one. Kassan likes Jordans, but I don't think he collects them like that. But Ellis is probably the biggest sneakerhead on the team.
Yeah, that does surprise me a little bit.
Yeah, me too. It did to me too. He's actually got a pretty good collection.
Cool.
So we've heard that you're from Florida, from Orlando, as a Magic fan. Is there any players all time that like really stand out to you? Like, oh, this was my guy. Like from a fan standpoint.
T-Mac was my favorite.
T-Mac.
When I was growing up, and then Penny. I used to like Penny, but that's when I was really young. But T-Mac for sure. And then I had like this man crush on JJ Redick when he was that dude.
Oh.
He was my favorite player. Yeah. And then when the Magic drafted him, I was so pumped. And then Stan Van Gundy literally never played him that first like 2 years. He never played him. He like brought him out in the finals versus the Lakers, and that was like the only time he played that whole season because I used to watch every game.
That team was fun.
Yeah,
that JJ didn't play a
that.
lot.
Yeah.
No, he didn't. It was like Rashard Lewis, and then they had Courtney Lee, who was a rookie too, and then Michael Petrus.
Oh,
that was
I forgot about that guy.
Jameer, Skip to my Lou. That was like the first team that really started shooting NBA threes like crazy. They like set the record because they would just had 4 shooters around Dwight, and they like if you look it up, they were really the first team that started that up tempo stuff, like even more than the Suns.
That's ironic with Dwight at center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, and you guys had Hedo Turkoglu, which is kind of funny because we're all big Blazers fans, so we have kind of a different opinion of Hedo Turkoglu than you probably do.
But he had that blonde hair for the Kings.
Yeah. Oh man.
That's
right.
It was good looks. Good looks.
Were able to catch any of the games in person during the finals run, regular season or playoffs?
Yeah, I went to game 3 of the finals that year.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
And Kobe went for like 24 in the first quarters. It was crazy. And I was actually going to go to game 6, I think it was. It was game 5 or game 6, but they ended up losing. I know Courtney Lee missed that layup in game 2, and then Derek Fisher came down in game 4. I was going to go to game 5 if it was tied. And Derek Fisher came down in game 4. It was 2-1, and he hit that pull-up 3. It was like you never thought Derek Fisher was the guy going to shoot it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got to go to that game. It was really cool. Lil Wayne was courtside going nuts. It was a cool experience.
Yeah, that's dope. Have you, out of curiosity, have you been growing up in the Tampa, Florida area? Have you been to the spot? I know they constructed the NBA bubble courts, like they constructed it specifically for the bubble, but had you been to that spot before? And if so, was it kind of weird to see it like made into an NBA environment?
I don't know exactly where it was in Disney, but I've been to Disney, of course, because it was an hour away. So I don't know. They have Disney's so big, you can't even understand it. And I don't know what theme park it was at or what resort it was at, but I've been over there.
Yeah,
So
gotcha.
yeah, anything's possible there. I mean, you go to Harry Potter World, that thing's unreal.
Yeah. I gotcha. John, do you want to ask that last one and then we can wrap it up?
Yeah. As a coach, is there any drill that you run that like you can tell players like hate doing? Like I don't know, just like there's like those drills where guys are kind of just like they kind of have to like get like settled in to do it.
Yeah. We have this drill called ELO where it's 3 minutes, 15 seconds, and it's just a full court shooting drill. And they hate it every time because we want them to make about 88 threes. And if they don't do it, they either run or do it again. So that's one. And then we do that pretty early in practice to get them warm. So that's one that they're not fans of. So that's probably the one. Or with our guys, I mean, they act like they're so old, but you're just doing the warm up. Sometimes they complain about it. Just doing the easy warm up. They get bored with it. And I'm like, this is a warm up. Come on.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that you said the ELO drill. I remember watching a couple practices last year, and I could tell they were getting so pissed when they would do that mark. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you coming on, taking some time. How can listeners look you up on social media, and how can they follow the team?
So EWU MBB is our Twitter. My Twitter is BigShotBob90, and then I think the EW MBB on Instagram is a good way, but the Twitter is probably the best for me. And then for EW MBB too, the Twitter's the best. That's the best. So if anyone wants to follow me, let me know.
Sounds good. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm obviously following, but I'll get them to drop you a follow too.
Yeah, I'll give you a follow.
Yeah.
Man, I need to get those up.
Yeah. Yeah, well, again, we appreciate the time. He's Bobby Suarez, Eastern Washington men's basketball assistant coach, and this has been episode 2 of the Y Ball Starters podcast. Signing off for now.
Thanks, guys.
Well, yeah.